What is up, guys? Frugal PC here, and we are live. And crypto crashing, starting to actually pull back a little as we speak, but we got a huge crash overnight. Really interesting stuff going on because RSI is doing some very surprising things. So what's up, everyone? Hope you're doing well out there. We got a good show for you today. We got Chainlink news, we got Hedera news, and we've got Algorand news. Just got to check something here, and we are ready to go. So, sorry for the delay today. I'm running a little behind, but we are live and ready to go, ready to talk about these markets. And I got to tell you, right now, my whole, I have no idea how many people are watching. It used to be I could only see YouTube. Like, I used to be able to see Kick viewership. Then I can't, I almost never could see X viewership. And now I just can't see YouTube viewership at all. So no idea how many people are watching. I know there were some people in here. We got, the chat is working out. However, we got Green Blue Algo saying, Algo quietly lubing the mighty fist of retribution. Sup, Paul? Yeah, well, you know, Algorand was starting to bounce back a little bit. Everything's bouncing back a little bit. Zcash actually doing the opposite. Seems to be a market counter indicator. It seems to be going opposite of the market, which is really interesting. So I'll have to look if I want to see how many people are in the chat today. I need to actually look manually. You can look at X2. Yeah, I got a few people here. That's cool. That's cool. And if you haven't hit the like button already, if you guys are in here, please do hit that like button because it really helps people see the channel, helps get the word out. And if you're not subscribed, of course, please do so. Our subscribership has been growing lately. Awesome to see annually. You can look. And yeah, I just want to check chat to make sure that is working correctly. So awesome. Yeah, I'll just have no idea who's watching because I can't see it on the screen. I know if I don't put Algorand in the logo, it kind of tends not to I'm going to put a little question and answer in the chat. You can answer. And the question is, what are you doing with this crypto dip? I'm going to put buying, selling. All right, there you go. Question and answer out there. Fracas in the chat saying, GM, what is up, my friend? GM. Welcome to the show. And we got we got a lot of stuff to talk about today on the Algorand, some controversial stuff in Algo land. So we will talk about that. Nothing too bad. More like I just got a little hate on some stuff I talked about. So I think it's interesting to cover. And, you know, I got to tell you, I've been trying to get some people on, and I'm going to have to reach out to different people. I've been trying to get, I've had two different companies from Hedera that I've been trying to get on, and it's like, how are people this wishy-washy? You know, I'll reach out and say, hey, you want to be on? I got this availability. And they're like, yeah, that could be interesting. It's like, well, is it or isn't it? Let me know when you're coming on. It's like, anyway, I just had to vent a little there because I get so frustrated. But yeah, maybe I'll have to have Fractal Monsters on. I got Fracas in the chat. You know, why not? Might be doing that. Might be getting some Cosmic Champs on too soon. And I got someone from Para I'm on the line with, so that might be coming up later next month. Also, before we get into the charts, I want to show you guys this. Let's see which one works best. Yeah, we'll do this. I am on Green Blue. Algo says launch my own token, bought AVAX, earned some algo selling a black NFT and deciding what to do with folks. Interesting. I was surprised you wouldn't hang on to that for the airdrops before you would sell it. Because don't those bring a bunch of folks tokens, or is that over with? I thought there were multiple drops. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I haven't followed it super closely. So I got. So CoinMarketCap actually reached out to me, and you know, at first I thought it was a scam. Actually, I honestly thought it was a scam, but I checked the account, and it's like their account. You know, they got almost 7 million followers on X. So they invited me to get verified on Fernando saying buying. Awesome, Fernando. Yeah, I am too. Awesome, absolutely buying. I think Well, I'll probably get into my thoughts a little later, but basically, I think this is especially if you're for stuff that you're buying and holding long term, probably a pretty good buying opportunity if you're thinking long term. There's other ways of thinking, and if you're looking for short term, I'm not really sure. That ship may or may not have sailed, but long term, I think for stuff like Bitcoin, I'm buying for sure. Green Blue says still have one, so while I was considering withdrawing the sale. Gotcha. And is it only one? If you only get one, if you only get airdrops for one of them, or do you get them from both? I was just curious. So anyway, they reached out to me and said they wanted me to be in their preferred program, and you get boosted. You get the little check mark. You get verified, and then they boost your posts on here. Now I don't know what. I'm not 100% sure what good this does, other than you can see the kind of reach it's getting. This post on Liquid Off got like 24,000 views, which is crazy. 50 reactions, three shares. So this is definitely spreading my channel anyway. So if you guys want to go follow me on there, surprisingly, it seems hard to add followers, but I do have some. So, and I don't want to like linger on this too much, but like this is constantly saying 99 plus. It's just the reach that is bringing me is absolutely crazy. So anyway, this is a cool thing, and it's helping me. I'm obviously posting a lot about Algorand, so it's getting that word out, as well as not just Algorand, but also let's see, I got one on Coinbase's token launch, spreading the BS around ISO 20022. This one didn't do that well, but it's on there. I thought I had a Hedera one. I guess I haven't shared a Hedera one, so I'll have to do that later too. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. But yeah, why don't we look at the coins here? Since this is what we're talking about, at about 3.3 trillion on market cap, that's down 3.43% overall. Green Blue says 30 folks per NFT last time. Nice. We'll look at that today because I'm curious. It hasn't. It's always hard to say with these ASAs. We'll get into that when we get to the ASAs for sure. But yeah, like I said, the chat question now. Let me know what you're doing with this crypto crash. But anyway, in the meantime, we got Bitcoin below 100,000. Which I know there were some people, and some people have admitted to it, who said they didn't think Bitcoin would ever go below 100,000. I was not one of those people, but I definitely don't think it's going to be anywhere near the 2030 range like it was before. I think we'll probably see, maybe around 50, 60 in the bear market, but you never know. You never know. I don't think it really matters to buy bottoms. I think you just once you see the market tanking, you just start buying in. You just start DCAing. You don't have to catch the exact bottom. You're probably not going to. Ethereum down to 3,200. So the one I want to highlight here is Zcash, because in the Zcash, everyone's talking about this. No one quite knows. I don't think there's any satisfying explanations of why Zcash is pumping so much when everything else isn't. I've heard some explanations. Even got Monero actually up a little too. So, it's not like Zcash is alone, but up 15, almost 16% on the 24-hour, but down 2.4. Down 2.4 on the hourly chart while everything is kind of like bouncing, which is really interesting. It looks very counter indicative right now, that's really surprising. Like I said, Monero also up in the 24-hour. Not much is up. In fact, we rank it by 24-hour. Yeah, Starknet up at 21, Dash at 10%, Maple Finance at 5, Aster just seems to always be pumping. Then Monero, World Liberty, Morpho. So we got a few that are up. It's not like nothing is up, but other than Aptos, not a lot of these are like gold chip. Freka said, had to sell my algo last month to cover bills, sadly, down 80% overall when sold. Oh, that sucks, dude. That's a bummer. Yeah, I've considering that a possibility for myself too. I think I've been able to fend off having to do that, so that's good. But You never want to have to sell in a bad market. I definitely took some profits during about a year ago now, a little less than a year ago. Green Blue says Zcash is Russians avoiding sanctions. My guess they like spray painting Z's on things, if you remember. Yeah, maybe. It could be. It could have something to do with that. I would think Monero, I know Monero doesn't have the Z in it, but, I would think Monero would be a good option as well. And John Woods kind of talked about that. Although Zcash is starting to fix some of the problems, he said when he first looked at it, it had a lot of major flaws that he pointed out on my interview with him. And you can check that out in the main channel page. But, you probably follow along in the stream first, and you can save that one for later. I also put some clips up so you can see, you can just want to see some of the clips. He talks about, the latest one is about why he left Algorand, which I think was pretty interesting. And, he's pretty straightforward about it. What he told me off stream was pretty similar to what he told me on stream. It's maybe like a little more polite, but generally, yeah, he was pretty open about it. Not doing so well on the 24-hour is Story, followed by Aave, PayPay, Jupiter, Toncoin, Aerodrome, Sui. Hedera's on that list. At least, Algorand's pretty far down there, all the way down in 27th in terms of worst performers over 24 hours. So that's, Cardano did worse, Render did worse. A lot of the big ones did worse. So, and so Polygon did not benefit, by the way. Polygon did not benefit from the news that it is partnered with the UFC, where Polymarket will be basically featured live during matches. I think Alpha Arcade should do something like that for like a smaller sport, maybe. Green Blue says he's referring to John Woods. He left so that he might return one day. I'll tell you, I think there's a really good chance he would return as CEO if it was an opportunity. I really think he would. Because then he doesn't, I think the big problem is I think he has the vision, and if you have the vision but you're further down the org chart, you don't really get the opportunity to share that. You don't get to do it. And boy, I got to tell you, I'm like really annoyed that I can't see. I have no idea how many people are watching. I'm glad you're all here. I appreciate that. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And I just have no idea who. I can see you in chat, obviously, but I can't see how many people are watching, which is kind of annoying. Let's not see if like weekly any differences. AB, okay, I never heard of that. Must be pretty new to the top 100. Uniswap doing well on the week. Interesting. Starknet, World Liberty, Morpho, Maple Finances, Monero. So. And that's a pretty small list. We're already getting down to single digits. Only Athena. So about 19 are in the green for the week. Biggest losers on the week, we got Filecoin, Dash, ICP. Yeah, they look pretty similar. Sui lost a lot. Look at Sui under $2. That's crazy. Green Blue says show 5-7 on YouTube. Okay, appreciate that. I mean, I can actually go to it and see it, but I can't. Oh, Guzman's in. What's up? What's up? Welcome in the chat. So everyone, if you're new, if you haven't hit the like button already, please do so, because that gets the word out. It really helps the channel. It's free. So appreciate you guys doing that. Well, let's go over to the Algorand charts, see what we got here. Move that up a little. We don't need that number on the side, just so we can see it a little bit better. We got, so Algorand, like we said, turning around. And here's what's interesting about the whole market, by the way. I want to show you guys something. Again, I said this before, but it really annoys me that it defaults to the one day. I always want the 4 hours, my favorite. We're in a very strange territory. We're not, you would think, given the crash, that would be like massively oversold, but unfortunately it's not. Green Blue says, did my diesel token show up in the top 100 yet? We'll take a look. You know, so we're sitting at about 16 and a, I'm sorry, we're at, where are we at? Yeah, 17 cents right now. No, that's where the RSI is. I'm sorry. We're at like 16 and a half cents, which is not ideal. And we're actually very close to undersold territory, which is kind of surprising. I guess it makes sense because we're at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, but we never really got, I mean, I guess we kind of got close to oversold, but not really, you know? So I don't know. It's a very strange market right now. A lot of stuff isn't looking like it typically does. I remember these days when we were at like 20 cents. I miss that. Anyway, that's Algorand. And everything's kind of looking like that. Like the RSI is like in this really strange position. You would expect it to be really oversold considering, but not so much. It's getting close, I guess. Purple Rain says not the worst. Yeah, not the worst. It's a pretty big crash though. Let's go down to, well, first off, Alpha Arcade. I want to highlight this one because it's starting to kind of feel like you can't lose on this one. You know, never say never, but I think they've figured out something about the tokenomics. Let's go to 4 hour. I think the daily chart is very telling, but let's put our indicators in because I just want to see something here. You know, not really behaving. It's staying pretty steady overall. It's not really hitting those ranges. It's not really, it's kind of bouncing between the kind of bouncing in the middle. So not really oversold, undersold, and just sort of steadily driving up, which I think is a testament to the tokenomics. And I think this is going to be the future of how crypto tokenomics work. Green Blue says, if Algo had zero value, I'd still use the ecosystem. Yeah, I mean, this is what Alpha Arcade is powered on. So, you know, you can benefit from by holding the token, you benefit from people using the platform because you get a cut of the fees, which I think is awesome, which is why I'm probably going to look for some dips and start like DCAing into Alpha a little more, which I usually don't do with ASAs. But this one just seems to be behaving differently. And Haystack has been similar. Maybe not as good, but very similar. And this one I do want to see the daily. Well, maybe not so similar. We'll see when all these token sales are finished here. But it's been kind of a steady climb down. Interesting. Tiny's just been a disaster. I think we've talked about that before. Anything else I really care about? There's Votecoin. Where's Everyday Algonaut at? He loves him some Votecoin because it's his project. Liquid Hog, yeah, down a little on the week. This one's interesting because it's like a coin based on a trading bot that they put profits back into the Liquid Hog is my understanding. I might have that slightly wrong, but that's basically the idea. Even Munko up a little bit on the 24-hour. That's nice to see. No, I can't. I could pull it up off screen. I just want to see what my Munko bag is doing, as well as my Alpha Arcade bag. Because I started off with $100 of Alpha Arcade to do the experiment. Current value is 323. I'd say about 20 of that is the alpha that I got from doing the live stream, which actually I might just might start doing that on a monthly basis. Is just doing it, adding that at the end, and then doing doing some kind of challenge during the Alpha Arcade bit. So maybe we'll do that. But yeah, anyway, my Munko up to almost $40. I'm also doing a gold experiment, so you can check out, I have channel member videos where I talk about all my experiments on pretty much a weekly basis. Let's see, everything is down. Opulus down 20%. That makes me happy, I'm not gonna lie. Those guys were such dicks to me. I mean, they left. I think they were dicks to the Algorand community. That's just my opinion. Not a fan. Not a fan how they treated me, how they treated Sewell. And as far as I'm concerned, good riddance to them. I'm glad they're gone. Yeah, I'm not even going to lie about that. Well, let's take a quick look at Hedera. And I do, if you guys know a better one for Hedera than this, you know, please let me know, because this is okay, but it's not as robust as, Vestige for sure. Looking kind of like a bloodbath today, not going to lie. Except for Sauce. Sauce is up. Pack is down. See, Pack was going to come on the show. I don't know what happened. They sent me over. The main account acted like they were into it. I reached out. They sent me over to their community manager, and then the community manager just gives me the runaround. I don't get it. It's like, it's free. It's free advertising for you guys. Why would you not take it? I don't get it, but okay. I even sent him the John Woods interview saying, hey, here's an example, you know? Anyway, Ivy up too. I don't know much about that project. Otherwise, yeah, who's down the worst? Looks like Headstarter. Don't know a lot about that. Followed by HBarX. Karate not doing so great. Same with Grelf. So it'd be nice if we could see like the long-term charts. I don't think you can. Actually, you can. You can see the weekly chart. I don't know what is this though. I really don't know what that's showing me. It's very strange. Oh, I see. It's just 6 p.m. snapshots. So yeah, it seems to be falling down on the week. Interesting. All right, well, that's probably not the most interesting thing in the world, so I guess we will start our segments pretty soon. Just want to see what the viewership looks like. Probably a good time to thank our sponsors, and our sponsors are Haystack, the trading app on Algorand, built for mobile first, makes doing it. It's the easiest way to trade on Algorand. Check that out today, and if you use my referral link, I think you get a little bonus, so please do that. And brought to you by Marcus Aurelius. It's a meme coin and Algorand NFT project on Algorand that makes that spreading the word about Stoicism. I think that's super cool. I'm just kind of checking out while I talk. Just kind of checking out. It's funny. I got a message from Kik saying my Stripe thing isn't live, or I'm missing a document or something. I'm like, well, I don't make any money on it anyway, so what's the difference, right? Okay, yeah. I literally have it pulled up in 2 places, and it says 1 viewer. So I found out for stuff like Kik and Twitch, you have to kind of game the system a little bit. Are you going to stake your hay? No, probably not. Let's see. Yeah, kind of a low viewership overall, but that's okay. Let's see. Which one should we do first? I'm thinking Algorand first. Actually, hold on. I'm going to do it this way. All right, well, let me get a little water and we'll start our first segment. Like I said, I got 3 of them today. One thing I'm not covering today is the XRP ETF, although I think my initial thought, because of what I was hearing from financial advisors, is that I didn't think like the HBAR ETF would do very well, and it like absolutely crushed it beyond anything I expected. I thought what I was hearing is that regular normie investors are just starting to ask about crypto and are just starting to ask about Bitcoin and Ethereum, not really even going down the market cap down to HBAR. I just thought they weren't ready. Totally wrong. So I think I have a good feeling about the the XRP ETF. ETR. What What's wrong with me? XRP ETF, I think, is really going to do well. Apparently, it's been a record launch from what I'm seeing. We're not going to cover it beyond that today. Green Blue says, any word from the Stacy search party? No, I haven't seen anything about that. I think they should bring John back, and he should lead it because he's solid. You know, dude is solid. It'd be the best hire they could possibly get, in my opinion. But okay. And by the way, I'd said someone in my comments the other day was like, said, "Can I buy you a new camera?" I'm like, dude, you know this is like a $2,000 camera I'm using, right? Like, good grief. I mean, can you not see the separation here? I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, people are weird. All right. Well, you know the drill. When I do my segments, you know, I don't really respond to chat unless it's relevant to what we're talking about. And if it is, then I will bring it up. And I do these so I can clip them for YouTube later. All right, so I got really excited about this new Algorand initiative, and not everyone was excited as I was. And in fact, I got a lot of pushback and hate on this, but I think this is really cool. I'm going to dive into this to start off our Algorand segment because I don't know. I think it's pretty neat. Let's have a talk here. All right, Algorand Foundation says Liquid Auth is now live on Algorand through Algo Wallet. Sign in securely anywhere with your wallet. No passwords, no big tech lock-in, just your face or fingerprint, and which is cool. Also, I was like, I didn't really fully understand what they meant because I don't know. I don't think it was like worded very well. But Mark, actually, the Algorand CMO, explained this way better. He said, calling all cypherpunks, you can now store all your passwords in a safe custodial crypto wallet, protected by your 24-word seed phrase. No more passwords, no more relying on centralized gatekeepers. You are fully in control. As of today, I'm logging into Amazon, GitHub, Google, and LinkedIn with Parawallet. So now I understand what this is for. Okay, when they explained it earlier, I was like, but like log into what? What do you mean? When you explain stuff, you got to give examples. That helps people understand. Okay, so. And this is just the start. Next up, let's replace Wallet Connect with a decentralized alternative. That's the promise of Liquid Auth. Learn more at liquidauth.com. I got some hate. I will tell you, I got some hate. In fact, let me see if I can find this because people were not happy about this. So, all right. So here's what I tweeted. I said, I don't think people understand how big Liquid Auth on Algorand is. Take a Parawallet and log into any website with your wallet, no passwords needed. I think that's super cool. Future of crypto is abstracting away the tech. That's where adoption comes from. Now, Algowana, fan, you know, and we're mutual follows, I think. Yep. To a normie, it's more friction, not less. Use existing Apple, Google account or set up wallet. Write down 25 words. No chance of recovery if you lose your wallet. Access everywhere. Thing is bricked. Actually, I don't think that's true. You're just saving your password on there, but your password is still valid. So I don't think that's actually true. But to me, this is what I said, and this is what I think. Simon B in the chat this morning, and we got Jeffrey too saying, would Jaws go back though? I think he would. Just trust me. To me, this is far less about individual action than it is about being a step on the long-term vision that the crypto is abstracted away. Now, he argued that it's not. I disagree. Liquid Auth is about returning to Web3's roots, self-custody, trustless, portability. It's huge, yep. McPhil. Markville? Some of you guys, like, because people don't know what Algorand is and what Parawallet is. Yeah, that's fine, but this is like good for us. This is people in the ecosystem. Also, Leo saying afternoon. What's up, Leo? Yeah, appreciate you guys being here. So I don't know. I think this is really cool. It may not be like the end all be all. And I said, this is how you explain things in crypto, by the way. Show how you're actually using it. Yes, guys, got to show how you're using it. This is what I'm saying. So I just, the lack of explanation in crypto just absolutely frustrates me. Like, you guys are already overcoming a huge barrier with crypto because so many people, it's so jargon filled that people don't understand it. When you explain stuff, I'll get people in my chat all the time. They're like, check out this coin, check out that coin. Why? Tell me why. Don't just name a coin. Tell me why you think it's so darn important. Anyway, so that's a frustration of mine. Less frustrating is the age of AI agents. And we got Mark here from the foundation saying, we are entering phase 4 of the internet of AI agents. Billions of agents interacting with each other, exchanging services and value. Blockchains will be the dominant payment layer for the internet of AI agents. X402 will play a critical role, and Algorand is ready. Algorand is ready on X402. Algorand report here has some stuff more on X402. No fees, instant settlement, blockchain agnostic. That's pretty key. Frictionless security and trust via open standard and web native. Leo says, did you talk about the Nillion news yet? Did I don't remember saying anything about Nillion news. Is there something I should be covering? Actually, I probably could. I don't know if I saved it, but I did comment on some stuff around Nillion. Genfinity saying I would love to interview on this. That's nice. Nice to see that. I wonder if he actually did it. Genfinity, I mean, I'm kind of surprised at the interviews that they're doing by there. Oh, they're going to ETH. Yeah, I did see that. I did see that. I don't think it was exclusive though, was it? Well, anyway, we'll talk about that on the on another segment. We're in the Algorand segment right now. So anyway, yeah, I think this is great. I think this is one of the big use cases for Algorand. In other crypto too is going to be agent-to-agent payments. You just can't do this on bank rails. It's just way too slow, way too expensive. X402 at no fees, instant settlement. That is going to be the key driver. So I think he's 100% right here. By the way, I don't know if you guys caught this, but Algorand TypeScript 1.0 is here. It is live, native, type safe, and integrated with AlgoKit. The way it is overbuild full stack and dApps in the language of the web. So I will tell you what, and I think the Easy A folks, Dom and Phil, I think they brought this up during their call. Where they said, these guys are all like TypeScript native. These guys that are coming in, like even when they're writing in other smart contracts, they're writing in TypeScript first and then converting it over. Like TypeScript, that's what you do. That's what a lot of these guys are fluent in. So even this might actually be more important than native Python. And I thought native Python was great because it's, got a huge user base. I actually code in Python myself a little bit, although ChatGPT makes it pretty much in Claude and all those, like they can do it way better than me. So I'm not even really doing that anymore. But yeah, I think this is, so Algorand adding TypeScript, they talked about this. 1.0 is here now, so very cool to see that. I thought this was kind of neat. Maybe we can, by the way, X's video player really sucks. It's really annoying. Let's watch this because 50 participants, 24 fresh projects, energy in the room never slowed down. Let's give this a listen. I'm guessing they're going to have music. I wish they would use DRM-free music so I could actually play this stuff on stream when you react to this. It makes me always hesitant. I know you can go in after the fact and remove it, but it always happens overnight too. So I always lose some value.
I mean, emboldened, empowered, absolutely. From the questions that are being asked, from the validation too of the ideas, from the market positioning, and really thinking about like a comprehensive product positioning. That really, sort of like resonates and really sort of like almost prepares the people that are making something right now into the ability to actually make a company afterwards.
What impressed me here in Turkey, developers have business understanding. They're not only building or developing for any project, but they have a business mindset. I think that's very interesting, and you don't see in every region, you see in different regions. That's very impressive to see.
After the hackathon, we don't want the journey to end after the hackathon. We want this to continue. Quite often when we talk to hackers attending to a hackathon, they get frustrated. You come to the hackathon, you come with all your will, you come with all your energy, all your positivity.
That was a really weird way to end that segment. Like he sounded like he was setting up to say, but here, otherwise, great video, nice looking. I already know that's going to get me like a copyright claim on it. I already know that's going to happen. And it sucks. Like it's just so weird that like a tiny little bit of background music can like can basically like steal your whole revenue from your whole like 2-hour stream for like 1 minute of it's crazy. I mean, just a little bit of rev share, cool. Take a small cut. Okay, fine, that's fair. They take the whole thing. I don't know. Did you feel like you got anything out of that? I think these are neat I think these hackathons are great, but like maybe you should give some examples of some of the projects that are coming. Like give us some info about what's actually being built, what's exciting, what won. I don't know. That's one thing I liked about what Dom and Phil did with their EZA hackathons is they actually shared like a list of like, here's the projects that won, got runner up, all that. And this is why you should care. This is why they're interesting. I don't know. It makes sense to me. Let's see what else we got. This is from Loaf Pickle. He said, I've been thinking a lot about how to make the chain economically, how to make the chain economically sustainable, and they say the best thing to do is write it down. Let's see. Let's take a little time to read this. We're in a sustainability pickle. Algorand has built one of the most technically advanced blockchains in existence that is fast, secure, efficient, and increasingly quantum resistant. But even with this strong foundation, the ecosystem faces a fundamental challenge. How can Algorand remain economically sustainable for decades to come? Now, that's what I've been talking about. I've been talking about in this channel for a long time. Like, there's not really a good revenue source. The fees are, kind of a fraction of Algorand's burn rate right now. So they need to do something. Anyway, today, the Algorand Foundation plays a role in maintaining network operations through funding, grants, and incentive programs. But that model, and I've been talking about this, it can't last indefinitely. For Algorand to truly thrive and achieve long-term independence, it must evolve into a self-sustaining ecosystem where node operators, developers, and validators have strong economic reasons to participate without depending on foundation support. 100%. So far, 100%. So he says 2 potential paths forward. One is to modify the existing chain and evolve its economics. The other is to relaunch the chain as a break glass in case of emergency option. Key is to delay that second path as long as possible while burning as many fees as we can, learning what works and what doesn't before taking any irreversible steps. And he says, scenario 1 is modifying the existing chain. The most practical path forward is modification by improving incentives within the current network. This is the least disruptive approach and aligns with the direction the ecosystem appears to be heading in. Now, Foundation CLO Jenny Levine, and by the way, they had a really good podcast at the Algorand Foundation's podcast, Verifiably Random, with Jenny Levine talking about how Algorand fits into some of the regulatory framework, the Genius Act, and the upcoming, it was a Clarity Act, I think. So definitely check that out, by the way. But anyway, she discussed the idea of adjusting Algorand's supply cap to conform to U.S. regulation, potentially introducing inflationary elements into the model. Meanwhile, the foundation's choice to opt into staking rewards for ecosystem projects fit into this broader narrative. Sustainable incentives are necessary for node participation. Yeah, we found that. I mean, without the incentives, people just didn't use it. That's just the way it is. The foundation's resources diminish over time and no economic motivation remains. Many nodes could go offline, threatening decentralization. A carefully structured incentive model, one that rewards those securing and governing the network, can ensure economic sustainability without over-reliance on inflation. Core issues: inflation introduces risk. With the most of the token supply already in circulation, new issuance could harm economic sustainability by diluting value and weakening participation incentives. So how do we maintain sustainable participation and growth without undermining the network's economic foundation? So here's his practical adjustments. 1, reduce staking rewards by 66%. People aren't going to like that. Adopt a fee burn model, ensuring that network usage directly supports long-term sustainability. That's probably good. We've been seeing the fee burn work for Alpha for sure. Alpha Arcade, the Alpha token. Fee burn model has done wonders for it. Increase base transaction fees modestly. We got Jeffrey in the chat saying we absolutely need to raise fees. I 100% agree. This is coming from someone who has been obsessed with Algorand oranges since its launch. Yeah. Now, here's the thing about that. Apparently, there's some issues where specific fees are baked in the smart contracts. So raising fees would actually break a lot of the smart contracts going on. That's a little disturbing, and it seemed like it wasn't a smart thing to have done that. I don't know, where that decision came from. I had no idea. But I learned that recently when I talked online about raising the fees. But other than that, if that can be addressed, like obviously you have to increase the fees. I really think you do. It's just not going to be sustainable long term unless Algorand goes like way up in price. These measures would help balance incentives, increase burn fees, and provide value. So the break the glass option was like a chain relaunch. He calls that a more radical path. Yeah, it absolutely is. Break glass in case of emergency. I think it would be a real problem. A relaunch could enable a clean reboot with an updated economic model, a modernized fee structure, and a full quantum resistance from day one. But the community should aim to delay this as long as possible, ensuring that when it happens, it's based on clear data and real-world learnings from current chain performance. I think that'd be disastrous. I think that would be absolutely disastrous because it would be a really bad look. Look what happened with Townstar on Gala Games. They relaunched and it just lost. No one. People lose. People end up losing in these scenarios. They lose what they built. They get frustrated. People left the chain. A lot of people left the chain on Gala. I think that would happen here too. It's the constant shifting and moving around and we're going to this, we're going to that, we're changing this, we're changing that. People just got sick of it. But I think if it becomes necessary, it's going to be a real problem. I do agree that. Well, we just saw the first quantum resistant transaction too. By the way, we got some. Yeah, we definitely got some stuff in the chat. Green Blue Algo says step 1: charge for services provided. Well, that would be interesting. Yeah, that'd be a nice thing. The foundation should be maybe bringing in some revenue from the services it provides instead of paying others. I'll tell you, I can't share my off the record conversations, but I'll say like some pretty big higher ups were frustrated to hear that. I'll just say that. Simon B says, I'm a fan of increased fees. It breaks some good stuff, so be it. Better than the entire chain goes offline in 2 years. I mean, I just think they're going to have to. I just don't see it as being sustainable. And if they have to rewrite those contracts, then rewrite those contracts and fix it. Anyway, definitely food for thought. I think there's some really good news around Algorand right now, and there's some stuff that's maybe concerning. And, we talk about it all here. That's what we do. So thanks for tuning in for our Algorand segment. Nice that we're getting some... getting some interest from getting some chat from X. Usually don't get a lot of chat from X. It's only from YouTube. So it's nice to see that. I'm going to share my... You got to be... I just posted that. God dang it. Gosh dang it. I think we're back. Unbelievable. Okay, well, yeah, apparently our X just crashed. That is really frustrating. Sorry, guys. Maybe I can. Yeah, it's just bringing up the other. Unbelievable. I'm gonna try to bring X back because like I. Turning it on and turning it off again and see if that works. And then we can get back to, oh, actually get on the dashboard. Ooh, I think we're back. I think we're back. Maybe. All right, there we go. Yeah, that's really annoying. Jeffrey says, wait, Green Blue says best beer cheese soup recipe restaurant. I don't know. I've never made it. Anyone else know? If you ever made that, let me know in the chat. You know, it's funny. I've had that before, but I've never made it. I don't think I've ever had it in a restaurant either. Jeffrey says, do you have any other interviews with the Algorand Foundation members lineup? Man, you know, that's another thing. Like I actually do, I'm lining up something with Para Wallet. I reached out directly. I might try to get like Fred Estante. You know, I had a good contact at the foundation that was actually responding me, and then they just stopped responding. You know, I actually pitched a video for them. Apparently they were too busy to respond because they're dealing with Algorand. I'm like, you can't respond to an email? Seriously? I don't know. It's just frustrating sometimes. I think like, you know, I have to do like 20 billion things in the course of my day to keep my businesses running. And then I just get frustrated when I run into people that apparently can't chew gum and walk at the same time. It's just kind of frustrating to me. I noticed the notifications on X are all kind of screwed up too. Well, anyway, glad you guys are back. Got everybody back up. We got a Hedera segment coming up and a Chainlink segment coming up. And so that will be fun. Yeah, it's really frustrating that it crashes like that and it just pops right back up for the other platforms, but not for... You know, it's weird too. I can actually see the viewership in Restream. I just can't see it in if I pull up the Restream itself. But I can't see it in my little window, which is annoying. Did you do requests this week, says Greenblue. I'll go, nah, not really. No, I haven't really been doing the Algorand thing. I just find them kind of like, it's like if the stuff I'm already in. I don't want to buy new stuff. And then, I don't know. I just haven't been a big fan of it. Chances are that person doesn't work there anymore. Churn rate is high at Algorand Foundation as far as I know. Yeah, maybe. Well, they were like, they would get back to me like a week later. And I'm like, well, you know, so I'm like, should I reach out to them through them? Should I just go directly? Actually, I think it'd be cool to have Fred Estante on. I think he'd be fun to talk to. So maybe I will, I think that person is still there, but actually I can check. Let me check. Yeah, no, he's still there. Anyway, I should stop complaining so much. Anyway, yeah, let's pull up our Hedera segment here. I actually got a video for us to watch at the end too, so we got lots to do. We might stay on for a while. Yeah, I think I'm going to talk about this. Okay, so like as you guys know, when I start my segments, I don't respond to chat unless they're directly relevant. Before I go to Hedera, though, I do want to say, yeah, I think I can't tell you how I know. Fred had a kid recently, probably super swamped with work and family. Yeah, he might be. Well, you reach out, and if he can't, he can't. You can do it later. I know he's been making appearances on the foundation's podcast, so he might be available. But yeah, it's cool. If he can't, he can't. I think it would be part of his work, though, right? Maybe we get Champs on next week. What do you think about that? We'll talk. Well, I'll DM you. But anyway, let's get to this Hedera segment. And like I said, only will address chat during the segments if it's directly relevant. So keep that in mind. But well, one of the big things about the Hedera Council is its absolute stunning list of companies that are involved on the Hedera Council, running nodes and keeping the Hedera chain running. Not a chain, I know, DLT. Keeping it running, which is awesome. And one of the things, I think a lot of people were asking about expansion because, one of the things that you want to see is more people running nodes. Now, we're not quite there, but Hedera made a huge announcement this week around new partnerships that it's growing, and we don't know who they are yet, but we know the structure. So let's dive into this because I think this is pretty interesting and worth knowing. This is right from Hedera, and so as the Hedera network continues to evolve, collaboration and shared innovation remain at its core. To expand participation and accelerate decentralized growth, Hedera Council has launched a new partnership program featuring strategic partners and community partners. While the Hedera Council continues to govern the Hedera network, operate its nodes, and approve technology upgrades, those new categories provide opportunities for organizations to engage, innovate, and grow within the ecosystem. So I think it's worth looking at more about what this means, but I want to highlight something here. They talk about running its nodes. I definitely think that Hedera needs to expand this. When you talk about decentralization, you want as many people securing the network as possible. So we need more node runners outside of this handful of companies running it for true decentralization. But I think this is a good start. So let's see what these mean. Hedera Council expands global engagement new partnership. Okay, here we go. Introducing 2 new partnership categories to broaden participation in the Hedera ecosystem. Hedera Council is introducing 2 new partnership categories: strategic partners and community partners. This partnership program enables organizations of all sizes to engage with the network and contribute to its long-term success through collaboration with global leaders across the Hedera ecosystem. Both partnership categories provide meaningful ways to engage with the Hedera ecosystem without requiring formal council membership. So there's going to be about 45 Hedera Council strategic partners. They're thinking like fintechs, enterprises, enterprise service providers, and industry associations. And they're looking at organizations with high value, use case, strong strategic alignment, like AI, tokenization, and supply chain, sustainability, identity, all stuff that we've seen, all use cases that we've kind of seen with Hedera already. And they get access to working group workshops and Hedera Council open sessions, technical support for use case development, networking with council members and industry leaders, marketing and co-branded opportunities such as case study development, grant application support, preferential invitations to Hedera events, and promotional features on Hedera Council. I think the big thing here, networking with council members, because we're talking like Google, IBM, LG, like some of the biggest brands in the world. So if you're a crypto company, like a small crypto startup, and you get to, you get to like partner with some of these folks and like maybe get some opportunities there for some of these big companies. Like that's a pretty big deal if you ask me. And then the other one is Hedera Council community partners. They're thinking 50 plus. I don't know, you know, who knows what the plus means, right? Now we're looking at like startups, system integrators, advocacy and community organizations. Projects or partner eligibility are projects or partners with active use cases or strategic relevance in areas such as AI, tokenization, sustainability, and identity. So it's kind of the same, but smaller. So I guess these are like bigger organizations, and maybe these are smaller ones actually. The benefits were access to working groups and ongoing ecosystem support, networking with council members and industry leaders. So same thing applies. Looks pretty similar, just maybe not quite as many things. I don't get that preferential invitations to Hedera hosted events. As you can see, most of the benefits still accrue to Hedera council members, but I really like to see, it'd be cool if they took I don't think, oh yeah, running node. Yeah, they should run nodes. All of these guys should be able to run nodes to start with. That'd be great. I think you need to expand that out. So anyway, that's the Hedera Council's new partnerships, which I think is cool. And what else we got? I thought this was kind of neat. It's from Genzio Media and Marketing. The trust layer of digital economy isn't just a vision, it's already live. Here's how global organizations are building real-world solutions on Hedera. So we got Aberdeen, exploring tokenization and traditional finance. I think that's been around a while. Archax and LBG Place, tokenized money market funds and UK gov bonds as FX collateral. That's pretty cool. Payments and stable coins. You got Shinhan Bank, Standard Bank, SCB TechX, and Australia Payments Plus are using Hedera to modernize cross-border payments. That's a huge use case. AI integrity, verifiable compute with Equity Lab, Accenture, Hedera Foundation, advancing AI model transparencies, partnering with NVIDIA and Intel for hardware level verification. Dude, again, that is a huge partnership. I know NVIDIA took a bath lately, but that's still huge. Let's see, sustainable and ESG data. We're going to actually talk about that a little bit more, but I know a lot of people don't like ESG. We'll get to that. We got another segment coming a little more dedicated to that. Digital trust and infrastructure, Neuron World, IoT DPIN infrastructure for machine-to-machine communication. Depending on what this is, this can be cool, but I'll tell you what, I don't want my washer and dryer going on the internet. They don't need to be there. So I'm just not generally excited about that category very much. I know there's a lot beyond that, but yeah, my refrigerator can stay off YouTube. That's fine. Consumer engagement and loyalty, Mondelez International plus SKUX, transforming loyalty, redemption, and supply chain transparency. It's kind of a cool little thing there. Neat. Yeah, so a whole lot of stuff going on in Hedera. If you're a fan of Hedera, you should be really excited about that. Now here's speaking of ESG, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. PwC has partnered with the Hashgraph Group to launch Hedera-powered ESG solutions for global enterprises. From an ESG standpoint, PwC advises thousands of companies worldwide across regulatory compliance, sustainability reporting, and climate change strategy, including strict disclosure frameworks in the EU, UK, and other major jurisdictions. Now their new EcoGuard platform brings that expertise on chain, anchoring carbon credits, renewable energy certificates, and real-time sustainability data directly to Hedera. This delivers verifiable, tamper-proof ESG reporting aligned with global standards and built for enterprise scale. Now listen, you might not like ESG, you know. I know there's a lot of like controversy and debates around it. I get it. But you know what? If you're a company, you got to comply with it, whether you like it or not. That's the rules. You got to follow the rules. So Hedera partnering with PwC to bring that information to people in real time on chain. You know, I know we talk about on chain. It's, you know, it's a DLT, blah, blah, blah. On Ledger, I suppose, would be the right thing. But you get the idea. Like, this allows you to comply with that. It's an enterprise solution for businesses to comply with ESG, and that's really important. I mean, that's solving a real world problem. And that's why I like Algorand. That's why I like Hedera, because I feel like the stuff that's being built on it is doing like real world stuff. Really starting to like what I'm seeing from Hedera, especially lately. I thought this was interesting too. Let's look at right from Tata. This chart normalizes inflows by max token supply, showing which ETFs saw the fastest relative accumulation pressure from institutional demands. And after 10 days between IBIT, BSOL, and HBAR way up at 0.8%, almost 1% of the whole supply. Very impressive. Actually, the max token supply, which is pretty cool. So I think this is really neat. I thought like I said, I did not think that I told you guys this earlier, I didn't think the HBAR ETF was going to do that well. Absolutely crushing it. Totally wrong. And it just keeps growing. They also have, let's see. Yeah, I mean, you can just see the supply percentage way up. Kind of holding steady. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, I thought that was worth sharing because I've been a pretty big fan of how that's been doing. Like I said, total supply, I didn't think the market was ready for something that far down the market cap table. I thought they were just getting used to Algorand, to Ethereum and Bitcoin. But yeah, the market's pretty much embraced it to some degree, at least. Pretty strong degree, I would say. Two more things here I want to share. In this one, Wrap Bitcoin, the industry's leading tokenized form of Bitcoin, is now live on institutional grade Hedera network. Boy, I'm really running out of ability to talk here. The integration was made possible in collaboration with Hedera Council member BitGo, alongside industry leading teams Bit Global Trust and Layer 0 Core. With over 126,000 Bitcoin in custody and a 13 billion market cap and 65% market share of tokenized Bitcoin on Ethereum, Wrap Bitcoin is the industry benchmark for Bitcoin utility across assets. Bridging live on Stargate Finance, and the first pools for WBTC are now live on Saucer Swap, the leading DEX for Hedera by trading volume. Yeah, so, if you want to keep, I actually keep a lot of my Ethereum on Algorand, and I like it that way. I just feel like it's easier to use. And so you can do that with Bitcoin on Hedera. Very cool. Sean Vogel says he's holding strong. I don't know if you're referring to Hedera during our Hedera segment or Algorand, but I'll probably referring to the chat message, actually. And then the last thing I want to cover here is HGraph Beta MCP server now live. The entire Hedera network now at your fingertips inside popular AI apps like ChatGPT and Claude. Here's everything you need to get access. So they kind of explain, again, remember how I talk about, guys, you got to explain stuff? Thank you, Hedera, or thank you, HGraph, I guess I should say. Explaining what an MCP server is, it is a model context protocol, which is a popular open source standard for connecting AI apps to external tools like Google Calendar, GitHub, and Notion. It's the USB port of artificial intelligence. That's a really awesome way to put that, by the way. Nice job, guys. Nice job. And so basically this is like the protocol that allows agents to do agent work. So instead of just having, your chat say, yeah, do this, do that, it actually allows artificial intelligence to go out in the world and do real things, fiddle with your calendar, do stuff on GitHub, book an appointment, something like that. When you connect the HGraph MCP server to an AI app like ChatGPT or Claude, it gives the LLM a set of specialized tools it can use to fetch any on-chain Hedera data that you ask about. A magical network explorer. That is really cool. Just imagine what you could do. You could do stuff with your own app. You could figure out your taxes on there if you wanted to. There's a lot of stuff you can do. So this is worth reading. I'm not going to read this whole thing here, but I don't know if you guys are playing around with this stuff. Look, there's a little toggle. Hit the HGraph toggle and boom, there you are. What is the account balance of account 0.800? And then it will tell you. Yeah, I think that's a really positive development for Hedera. So anyway, that's all I got for Hedera this week. I could have added, nope, that's it. That was the whole thing. And yeah, Obviously, we're in a down market as I record this, but hey, things turn around, and I really think Hedera is going to be one of the long-term players in this space. So keep an eye out. Okay. By the way, notifications all screwed up. Oh, someone's asking on my behalf, Fred Estante on. I haven't reached. To be fair, I haven't reached out to him. Okay, so, but I probably will. We've had some pretty good back and forth. Me and Fred have, I think. So I think he'd come on. But I got some other stuff cooking, so I don't want to like reach out yet necessarily. Anyway, yeah, notifications are all screwed up on X. I don't know what's going on there, but we're definitely starting to rebuild our streaming audience after we had a little snafu there, and I kind of want to see what we got for. What we got for likes there, and I 13 likes, so that's good. That's a good amount of likes. Maybe if you haven't liked it already, give it a little like so we can pop it up there, boost that up a little bit. Yeah, so Sean Vogel was responding to our chat. What are you doing with this crypto dip? Holding strong, he said. I actually been buying a little bit. All right. I'm just going to take a little break. Actually, you know what? Before I get to the chain
that say, hey, the minority but it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
It is candidly, it's the largest substantive point of disagreement right now between the parties. We can talk about DeFi and we can talk about getting this right, but there's buy-in from both sides that they feel like they can fix and figure out the market structure issues as it relates to digital assets. Where they are struggling to figure it out is the conflict of interest piece. Who can issue a token?
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, you would think when you expand it to the whole screen that it would. You would think it
Can
would
get behind
actually.
that, but the question is, where do you draw the line?
You would think it'd be smart enough to turn the sound on because when you expand it, obviously you want to watch it. Technology, man. Yeah, I think everything about video on X is just completely wrong. But anyway, I am back. I just want to see. I probably lost a whole bunch of you guys. Sorry about that. Actually, I won't do it this way. I'll do it. Yeah, I got one more segment and then we got a video to watch. So we got a little bit of stuff left. Boy, we're really running late too, aren't we? Let's see how things are. Let's just watch the video today. I'll save Chainlink for next time, maybe. Maybe I'll do another stream or something. So yeah, sorry about that. I definitely lost some viewership because of that. It happens.
Crashes around us, and you see the panic and fear that normally happens.
All right, let's watch this video and see how interesting it is.
Crypto crashes around us, and you see the panic and fear that normally happens to people when they've made certain decisions about crypto. I kind of wanted to take a step back and today talk a little bit about opportunity and the ability to make decisions that change your life. If you guys do,
which by the way, typically if when everything is crashing, when the fear gauge is at its like maximum, that's usually when you should be buying. Just wanna put that out there. And maybe we can go a little bit bigger on. That's still not that big. Make them a little bit bigger here.
If you like this content, please like and subscribe. It does help. Do whatever the cool kids do and hype it, share it, X, Y, and Z. So I don't really have a fully blown out script for this, but I felt like it was important to do a video because I know how emotional people can get in crypto. And for those of us that are in the space or just even in life in general, normally when stuff happens, they turn outward and they try to look at other people to give them answers. That's certainly the case in the crypto industry and blockchain and distributed ledger, where people look, to influencers from everything from, stuff that's positive and bullish to where the market's going next. Is the 4-year cycle going to, is it still valid? Is it going to continue? But at the end of the day, none of these people really have any clue what's going to happen. So brings me to the point of, this entire discussion. You really have to look inward and start making your own decisions to determine your own destiny, because at the end of the day, we have no idea if tomorrow is even going to happen. All we can focus on is ourselves. All we can control is ourselves. And the only time that we can do that is at the very present. The past doesn't matter anymore, and the future is certainly not promised. So I'll get into this a little bit here. So I think first and foremost, the first point I want to make is that you have the opportunity and the power to change your life. You can do literally whatever you want to do in your entire life. Any hopes or dreams that you have can be put into action by you stopping talking about them and starting to do them. Nobody else is going to help you do this. Now, I think that we hear things in life where you kind of make your own luck, where it's interesting whenever you start going down a path of accountability for yourself personally, and you start setting plans, or you start actually putting in the work to achieve goals, that things tend to kind of fall into place naturally. This is at least what I've seen.
Yeah, he's totally right, by the way. And from what I've experienced is, he says like no one's going to help you. That is true. If all you're doing is talking about stuff and you are not putting action into place, 100%, no one's going to come to help you, because people don't want to help people that don't seem like they want to help themselves. But if you start putting the actions together, what you find is that people people respond to that and they will start helping you with things. So I think he's absolutely right. As far as looking at answers, yeah, this is the thing I've been trying to share. Everyone's always like, well, what price do you think this is going to be at? And it doesn't matter. Frankly, it doesn't matter what I think. I don't have a crystal ball. He doesn't have a crystal ball. Nobody has a crystal ball. Everyone who's telling you, yeah, it's definitely going to be this price or that price, they really have no idea. They might have a good guess. They might have a good thesis of why it might get to that, but really you don't know. And that's why I keep telling you guys, the most important thing is to have a thesis for have a strategy for when things go up and when things go down. If you're up 2x, 3x, 4x, take some profits, pull some off the table. If you're down, yeah, maybe it's time to buy. You have to figure out that strategy for yourself, what you're comfortable with. I change, and sometimes you change your strategies. I used to take profit on Bitcoin. I've realized that probably wasn't the smartest thing overall. Long term, I probably should have just been buying and holding, which is what I'm doing now with Bitcoin and probably with Ethereum too, to an extent. Other stuff, altcoins, yeah, I'm definitely going to take profit when I'm up, pull some off the table, create those moon bags. So that's just what I want to say about that.
Seen is that, really you are the only one that can turn your kind of dreams into reality. If you listen, it's interesting. So I was watching this morning, and this is just a total sidebar. I was watching
So I really got to get my water. Hold on.
the Eddie Murphy documentary this morning, and he said when he was a kid, he was like 12 or 13 years old. He said, he was going around telling everybody that he knew he was going to be famous. That was his goal. That was his dream. And it was almost like he had self-confirmation bias to the point that he knew it was going to happen, because people would say, that's not going to happen. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Yes, it is going to happen. And he put the work in, started doing stand-up comedy at like, I think 15 and 16 years old, and did become, famous and achieved his goals. Same thing happened with Jim Carrey. You can go and watch some old interviews there too. But at the end of the day, those individuals had such drive and self-confirmation bias that they achieved exactly what they wanted to achieve. I think a lot of times, especially in society today, we tend to look outward for people to solve our problems. Unfortunately, that's not the way the cookie normally crumbles. The only person that can solve your problems is you. You do tend to find out as you start solving your own problems, a lot of people externally to you don't necessarily like that you're solving your own problems, but you can't.
That's the other side of that coin. You find this, and this seems to be more life advice than crypto advice right now, but totally true. When you start achieving things, when you start growing, you will end up leaving people behind. There will be people in your life that are kind of like crabs in a bucket. They will pull you down when things are going well for you. They'll poo-poo it. They'll try to pull you back to their level. And at some point, you probably will evolve to the point where the people who are achieving things in life will value what you're doing. They'll probably reach out and help you, or at least give you advice, or at least support what you're doing. And you got to look for that. People like to commiserate, and that's fine once in a while, but there's some people that are addicted to it. And when you start like actually having success, you'll find that there are the people in your life that are constantly like complaining about everything. They won't look appealing anymore. Anyway.
Control them. All you can control is you. So when we look at the markets of crypto crashing right now, Bitcoin around 95 or 96K, whatever it may be. First and foremost, I do find it interesting. I've pulled that chart up so many times, and I don't know if it's confirmation or not, but that really long chart that I drew with like time frames and percent drawdowns and all sorts of stuff that basically said, hey, we may top in September or October of this year. So if it is the top, who knows? But it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not going to share a chart with you today because I don't care. You watch probably 95 to 98% of these videos, and I'm probably not pulling up charts. Number one, I'm not going to feign importance enough to act like I can do TA that's going to actually pan out for you guys. Number two, I just don't really see the point, because I believe personally in where this, the blockchain and distributed ledger space is going. So if prices crash, I look at that as an opportunity. And if prices go up, I look at that as an opportunity. I think a lot of times in crypto, we have this, and in life, we have this instant gratification that we need to feel okay as human beings. And at the end of the day, that is not normally healthy. So whenever you think about hard work and putting in hard work to achieve your goals, it is quite literally that. Showing up every single day, to make small changes that end up being bigger changes in your life. That's
100%, by the way. I 100% agree with this. This is why I talk about what's going on. I'll show you that, but like, it doesn't matter for the long-term vision. The long-term vision is, do you think this technology is going to catch on? Do you think that these chains have good value in the long run? You know, like you said, up is an opportunity, down is an opportunity. Very, very important. And don't miss it. Just don't miss it. Which is what I was just saying, you know, when it's down, it's probably a buying opportunity. When it's up, and it depends, you know, I'm up on XRP. I'm not going to buy more XRP. I'm way up on it. Like, I'm not going to buy more XRP until, you know, for quite some time. I've actually taken profit on XRP. You know, some of the other stuff I'm like way down on, so I'm just going to hang on to it. Sometimes, you know, sometimes the best thing is to do nothing. You'd probably do pretty well if you just had a bag of crypto, you know, a set of coins that you wanted to invest in, and you just DCA'd and like didn't pay attention to the market. That'd actually probably be your best bet. Anyway, let's see what else he has to say.
It's the only way that things normally happen, you know, in a sustainable way. Otherwise, of course, there's going to be people that get lucky and, you know, end up getting rich. But I look at getting rich much different than being wealthy. And I don't look at wealthy even from a financial standpoint so much as from a mental health standpoint, because if you are not wealthy from a mental health standpoint and you don't have your shit together individually first, what's the point of having tons of money? Because we've seen so many times people that end up becoming multimillionaires end up, you know, offing themselves because they're just not happy. We could get into what the definition of happy versus kind of being okay with things too, because happy is kind of fleeting. Anyways, to kind of bring it back to the point here, instant gratification in crypto certainly is one of these other things, you know, this kind of get rich quick mindset. I've been in crypto since late 2016, and I've certainly, for probably at least the first four or 5 years, had that kind of get rich quick mindset. But also, I wasn't mentally healthy or prepared enough to even deal with myself, let alone, thank God I didn't get rich, because I probably would be dead at this point in time if I did get rich back then. So, you know, I think the way I look at crypto, blockchain, distributed ledger now is it's fundamentally going to be a part of our everyday lives at some point in time. So if prices crash, you know, nothing's promised in this space. I look at it as an opportunity to potentially load up on things I did not get an opportunity to load up on. If prices raise, I don't look at it as an opportunity anymore to necessarily even, you know, get rich. More so situation changing. Like if XRP or HBAR, or, you know, this obviously is not financial advice. Any of these assets, Quant, any of these assets we've talked about, Chainlink, whatever. If this stuff skyrockets and people get rich, great. But at the end of the day, I think it's much more sustainable to set plans in advance, so that you kind of set your own opportunities. Like how many times do we see in crypto that people just totally over leverage themselves, which is just absolutely crazy. It's like, what is the point of that? Because number one, if you can't be comfortable enough on a daily basis to like live your life and enjoy your life, you have no idea if tomorrow's even going to happen in life. So
me and King Solomon here pretty much think almost exactly alike on this stuff. Like almost exactly. Perfectly put, exactly what I think. Just you got invest in good projects, and when they take off, great. If they don't, just keep doing your thing. People get way too hung up on daily price action, and you know, it's like you got to talk about it because like it happens. But I think sometimes, and maybe I need to do a better job of this too, is just like saying, hey, you know, this is what's happening, but whatever. You know, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's cool when things go up. The alpha's been doing really well for me. It's one of the few that's really crushed it on as far as Algorand ASAs. But yeah, I think people can over leverage that too.
So setting the bar for yourself that is, you know, way too high and just not, you know, eating raw. I've literally seen people that are like, well, I ate ramen for 5 years. And it's like, that sucks, you know, because you don't know if you're going to have 5 years. You don't know if you're going to have 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. You don't know if you're going to have an hour from now. I would not want to go through the guy or the girl really liked ramen. But I mean, I think the point here is, there's a way to live life, and you know, in a way that is like kind of fulfilling, I guess, in a way, but also more sustainable. And it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. I know there's a lot of people that like struggle with gambling, especially in crypto.
By the way, you know, this is a debate I have with some people. I am actually a pretty frugal person. I just believe in, it's not like I don't ever spend money, but I do believe in like being wise with your money, you know, not blowing it, on stuff that doesn't really make you happy. I think a lot of people do that, but it's not really about not ever doing anything. And yeah, eating nothing but ramen for, for a long time is like not really healthy for you, really. But also like, I think there's a balance to be found because like you said, yeah, you don't know if tomorrow's coming. I think it's okay to maybe do that for a season though. Maybe really cramp down. When I first started like getting serious about my finances, I really cramped down and I really like buckled down. Got my spending to like absolute low limits and I built up a nice nest egg. And then after a while, it was like, okay, I'm starting to make more money now. I can back off a little bit. I don't have to like go crazy putting money into this stuff. And now it's kind of hitting the point where it's growing on its own. So I don't have to like feed it as much for it to keep growing, which is cool. So it was nice to have that for a little bit. And I saw what I was capable of. And then I was able to ease off and, spend a little bit. But I still like I don't know, like even if I was like loaded, for example, I still wouldn't go to restaurants all the time because it's not very healthy for you. And I'd rather eat at home most of the time anyway. But I don't mind going once in a while. It's fun. When I first got a buckle on my finances, I was going out to eat like every day for lunch. And when I stopped, I went from like spending all my money and being broke basically before my next paycheck to having a couple $100 left over. And then I started doing more of these things and it added up. So that's one area where maybe I'll disagree a little bit. I think there's a balance there, but also I think you can find ways to have fun and enjoyment in life. I don't think it always revolves around spending. It's like, do I get something big out of this? And then, okay, well, maybe I will spend the money because it's worth it. Like I bought a pretty expensive mountain bike because I mountain bike all the time. Like all summer I will mountain bike. Definitely getting my money's worth out of it. Same thing in crypto. I think you could over index on this stuff too much and you just probably shouldn't worry about it too much. I personally think it should be a small part of your portfolio. It should be a percentage wise. And what he's saying about leverage makes sense because the asymmetric upside is already there. You already can put in like $100 and turn it into a few hundred, or $1,000 and turn it into a few thousand, etc. That's pretty good. Like, why do you need to also leverage and then have this risk of just getting wrecked? It's silly.
And addiction and all sorts of things. And the only way.
And it's asymmetric, by the way, because the downside is so small compared to the upside.
To change that is to kind of internally look. This is not meant to be preachy because I have no problem with people, drinking or doing whatever they want to. Everybody has the right to do whatever they want to. But I do think it's interesting when people complain and point the finger outward. It's a lot easier to point the finger outward. This is manipulated. Markets are manipulated, and life is unfair. Everybody knows life is unfair. It's much easier to point the finger outward than it is to look at yourself and point the finger directly at yourself for the pain, struggles, and issues that you're having. Because 99.9% of the time, actually 100% of the time, you're the only one that can, change your situation and start making decisions that lead you to that. It's a lot easier to talk about stuff than it is to actually do things. And I think there's countless opportunities in crypto. Like I have seen so many people that have changed their lives, not from a gambling on a token standpoint, but from a getting involved standpoint, getting into Discords, getting into Telegrams, building something, seeing something that they didn't have on a network and building it for themselves because they wanted to see it, learning how to code. I've literally heard that you could take probably a Udemy JavaScript course. One of the guys who's now, I don't know what his role. I think he's senior project manager or senior product manager of tokenization and consensus, or project manager. Maybe it's even a bigger role than that at Hashgraph now. So essentially like within Hedera, right? But he started by building things that he wanted to see on the Hedera network. There was like no money involved in that. Obviously he was kind of doing it because he wanted to see it, but he had told me, somebody could probably take a Udemy course and learn JavaScript at the very fundamental level in a handful of months and probably automatically make 70, 80 grand a year now with inflation. Cause I think back then he said around 60. I mean, that's a wild opportunity. And I know people directly that have gotten into Discords or some of these layer one networks and just started grinding and putting in the work at the community level and then ended up changing their careers.
Yeah, I think MJ from Algorand is a good example of that. I don't know the full story, but he was like this huge advocate of Algorand, and now he basically has an Algorand Foundation job. and he's a good dude. You know, definitely been. By the way, if you guys don't follow MJ on X, his account's great, and he's been a huge supporter of mine, which I appreciate for sure.
It doesn't have to be, especially in crypto, about these kind of instant gratification moments. Yeah. So, and I also think, you know, from, like I said, the mindset protection is important, because normally as you decide to make changes, people try to either A, take advantage of that, or B, tear it down. But again, you can't control that. All you can control is yourself. If you're deciding to do something, you're the only person that can change your aspirations to do something into the reality of you actually have, you know, have done it, having it done. So, you know, I think for me, when I look at crypto, I don't even, you know, maybe you guys, I don't know if this video even made sense to do today, but I think I wanted to do something different, because I talk a lot about all the bullish stuff going on in crypto just from the news standpoint. I rarely talk about price, because for me, it doesn't really matter, because if stuff goes down, I look at it as an opportunity. Again, like I said, and if stuff goes up, I look at it as an opportunity, because I believe that crypto, blockchain, distributed ledger are changing, you know, are going to change the fabric of the way that we live at this point in time. So I really don't care what happens from a price standpoint in the short term. I can't control it anyway, so why would I care? That's a big thing too, is like, I know a lot of people that just get into crypto and you know, they're looking towards, well, this is like a dangerous mindset too, because I know there's a lot of people that will just like tell you, and I still see it today, XRP is going to go to $500 by the end of the year, or XRP is going to go to $1,000 by X, Y, and Z time. And it's like, okay, number one, there's two scenarios, and this has not, I could care less about, you know, these people have the right to think however they want to think. And if, hey, it's great. If you're that bullish, but there's two scenarios in which it's plausible for somebody to actually have that belief. Number one, they actually believe it, or number two, they're selling you something. And for those of us in life and in crypto that have been here for a long enough time, number two, you're being sold something, is about 95 to 98% of what's probably happening.
Yeah, he's totally right. I reacted to a video that was like 4 years old, saying that, you know, XRP was going to $10,000 by, you know, like the end of the following year. And that would have been like 2022 or something like that. It's like, yeah, no, I guess it didn't happen. Just listen to the arguments. You know, I picked it apart. It's actually on my YouTube channel. I picked this thing apart. I'm like, this is ridiculous. It was saying like, oh, you know, cross-border payments. It's like, yeah, well, so are like 20 other chains, at least, probably a lot more, but 20 like realistic competitors are charging into that space too. So it's probably not going to just be you. And I thought it was interesting. Scott Melker asked about XRP and said, like, what's the actual use of the token? And not that it's a representative of the company Ripple, but like, what does the token itself do? Because everything's happening on RLS USD. And I think there's like kind of an explanation, but I think XRP is mostly up. And, you know, I think crypto markets right now, at least in short-term action, are generally dictated by sentiment. And sentiment comes from like these communities that are super over bullish almost on the chain. Algorand people seem to be more logical overall. Not always. You see that tribalism everywhere with Algorand, with HBAR, all of them. But you see a little more like critical thinking, I think, on Algorand and HBAR too, which I like to see. But also it's like it conversely has like sort of a negative impact on price action, which is kind of interesting how that works. You know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely agree with him here. I think you gotta just kind of like ignore that noise. People are gonna make these wild, outlandish price predictions. And, you know, it sucks because frankly, the price prediction videos get a lot of attention. They get a lot of clicks and views. And I try not to make them myself. I have like a rough range of where I think it might go. If the bull market materializes the way it has, which this has been a totally different one. So who knows? But yeah, I think he's 100% right. And I think it's just ignore those price predictions. Sometimes I'll make reactions to other people's price prediction videos and why I think they're insane. But overall, I mean, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like what he's saying is exactly my view. It's like, if it goes up, cool, I'm making money. If it goes down, cool, it's on sale. I get a chance to buy in early. That's what it is. I mean, you can complain, but I think that's the most reasonable explanation.
But I think what the real problem there creates this issue of people not being able to understand where they personally lie from a kind of financial or a goals level, because their goals are so maybe far beyond, which is okay for them to have those goals, that it makes it almost impossible for them to set realistic goals to change their situation, because they are hoping for this like massive gratification of like instant riches and stuff like that. And then it normally creates a lot of hatred and toxicity and stuff like that across social media and everything else, because you have people that are like expecting to get rich.
Which, by the way, that used to be how it was in crypto. You could buy some random coin and it would just shoot off during the bull run. I think those days might be over. I think there's still going to be opportunities, but it's not going to be like where the whole market is just absolutely ripping and day after day after day for a sustained period of time. I think that might be just dead. We haven't seen it. We had a little bit of a taste of it in November, and I hope some of you guys took profits. I'll tell you what, when you're up, you got to take profits. For some, especially smaller cap coins, absolutely. If you're up, take profits. Oh my God, my portfolio would be wrecked if I hadn't done that. But you know, for some of the big caps, I think, especially like Bitcoin, I think it's just buy and hold and hang on and build. And when you got dips, you know, use it as an excuse to add to your holdings.
From a couple $100. And at the end of the day, I saw a post from, I think it was the guy that was the senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg, Eric Balchunas, the guy I showed yesterday. And as a sidebar here, XRP did, the XRPC Canary Capital spot ETF that just launched yesterday did beat out Solana, the BSOL ETF, the highest volume ETF in 2025. And the same post that I saw, I forget exactly what XRP's was. I think it was like $58 or $59 million in volume. Solana was like $1 million less, maybe a little bit less than $1 million. So XRP eked out Solana. But I think the second or the third closest one besides XRP and then Solana was like $20 million. So drastically, you know, outweighing, you know, the number three. And this is like, I think around 1,000 spot ETFs this year. So it just shows the demand. But I think anyways, the post I think I saw was the guy was saying a lot of people in crypto, the vast majority, and not even in crypto, just in stocks in general, just investing, would be much better served just to buy and hold something long-term than act like they, you know, can trade in and out of things and do well. I actually even have said, like, I believe that that's probably the truth. I remember.
I generally agree with that, especially for like stuff in the top 50. But also I think, well, you just hold on. And when if you're up like 4X on like a top 400 coin, I think you should probably take profits, because a lot of these just aren't going to last. You know, they're just not going to. If you were up on EOS, you should have taken profits, because that thing's still around, but boy, is it dead. But stuff like Bitcoin, Ethereum, yeah, I just hang on, you know, just hang on. And, you know, I think, because you just never know. Stuff pops out when you don't think it's going to. And then, you know, I think that what people like do is they take those and they just rotate them into Bitcoin. They put them back into Bitcoin.
Oh, shoot. I think in 20, I don't have, you know, I probably have a lot less crypto than people think. But again, that's because I have tried doing stuff maybe a little bit differently. And I've certainly made mistakes, both on people, cryptos, trusting projects, doing things that I probably shouldn't have done as far as trusting people in the space standpoint. But I've tried grinding my ass off to make sure, like through the Genfinity stuff with interviews and stuff, like we didn't launch a token, haven't launched an NFT, have been in crypto, have had Genfinity since 2021. So over 4 years now, still haven't launched anything or sold anything to anybody. And I've just tried. I mean, last year I was working 12 or 14-hour days from the time I woke up until the time I went to bed, trying to schedule interviews, trying to branch out into additional layer one networks and stuff like that. Because I do fundamentally believe that we're headed towards a multi-chain future. And, you know, I'm only one person. I only have, you know, the team that I have, but and we can only do so much. But I don't know. It's just it's a testament to anybody could do what I did. Like literally, I could care less about what I've achieved, because anybody could do that. So what I'm telling you is like, you can do the exact same. You could do whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be in crypto. It doesn't have to be in wherever. But you know, I go back to 2016, late 2016 or early 2017, and I had close to a full Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was only like a few $1,000s back in 2016, if I remember correctly, early 2017. But that to me was, and it still is, a ton of money. A few $1,000s back then for me, and still now, is like a ton of money. So, you know, I think the most I probably put into crypto back in 2017 was probably about $1,000, maybe like $1,500, something like that. And then I think it went to like 12 grand at the top of the bull market. And I was like, back up the truck, honey, we're rich, you know?
And pretty much the same experience. Yeah, I was just buying a little bit every paycheck during the summer of 2017, and then it just ripped. And then I didn't know a ton about crypto back then. I just saw it taking off. I saw what I considered bubble behavior, and it definitely was bubble behavior. I saw, I thought, oh, this stuff's gonna come crashing down. I saw people uh, borrowing money to buy Bitcoin. I'm like, oh, that's bad. It's really bad. And I was right. It did come crashing down. What I didn't realize is that it was cyclical. And also, like, I didn't realize I probably should have, my best thing I probably could have done for crypto, even though I did make money, is I probably left money on the table because I really probably should have just, like, when it crashed, did nothing. And when it crashed down, just bought more. But I didn't know, you never know. I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't know Bitcoin would end up with the strength that it has now. So, you live and learn. We all make mistakes. I guess I did the same thing he did.
Like, that was my mindset back then. You go down the path of like YouTube and all this other stuff. I just think there's so much information out there. It's like information overload. And at the end of the day, most of it is meaningless because you could probably learn more for yourself about what you should be doing in life and in crypto and, in a day than you could by probably watching a year's worth of my videos or any other influencers' videos, especially ones that are heavily leaning towards price predictions. Because at the end of the day, all that stuff is clickbait. It's, propagating this instant gratification mindset. And it really does nothing for you anyways, because at the end of the day, every single person is totally different than every other single person on the.
Yeah, I really wish it wasn't a thing, but it is, and people click on it. And so the way I kind of, like I said, the way I kind of reacted to it is I just make them, I made my peace with it by just making my own videos reacting to other ones, but then trying to tell people, like, you should just not worry that much about price predictions. Just have a thesis and stick to your thesis.
The entire planet has different goals, has a different financial situation, has different, I don't know. You guys get where I'm going with that. But like I said, I mean, you do have the opportunity to do whatever you want to in your life. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't, because they're not the ones that are going to be making that decision for you anyways. Only you can decide if you're going to actually do whatever you want to do. And maybe you're already doing what you want to do. And this video certainly doesn't apply for you. But at the end of the day, I think that we're in a world that is very dangerous as far as setting expectations on yourself, because you're the only one that actually has the power to do that. You're the only one that has the power to make you feel a certain way as well. And we are in this very attention-driven economy that's only getting more and more attention-esque as far as, I need to be on social media. I need to doom scroll at night. Where's my attention going towards next? What am I doing? I think sometimes it does help to kind of look inward a little bit and be like, hey, what do I actually want to achieve? And like I said before, we have zero idea if we're even going to be around a minute from now, let alone 5 years from now or 2 years from now or whatever it is. So price action, I'll bring it back to crypto here, is only scary when you are either over leveraged or trying to get rich quick, mostly over leveraged. When prices crash in crypto, since we're talking about crypto mostly on this channel, you can look at it as a doom and gloom scenario because you've over leveraged yourself, or you can look at it as an opportunity. When prices rise, it's the same thing. Most of the times in life, I will say this, whether it be from a cashing out or buying, or whether it be from a I want to change my life for the better standpoint, the only way to really do that is to actually do it. And it doesn't feel good when you make decisions that are going to be good decisions. Let me rephrase that again. So, for me personally, with a couple of years of sobriety at this point in time, it was not easy to do that. To act, and same thing with quitting smoking, quitting chewing tobacco. I did quit caffeine for a little while.
I actually quit smoking. Well, it was 20 some years ago now, so it's been a while, but one of the hardest things I've ever had to do by far. Not easy. So shout out to him for quitting smoking, quitting drinking, quitting all those vices. Good for him.
Oh, but I'm back on.
Well, actually, I'll address a couple comments before we finish this video, which I think is kind of wrapping up. Green Blue saying, speaking of multi-chain, I see Algorand success as the day folks' finance is no longer bifurcated into two websites. Yeah, I think that would be good. I think two websites it'd be good when it's all like kind of in one spot. I can agree with that for sure. Lansing utility was always the way. I said it years ago. Forget it until 2030. Yeah, I mean, by the way, I don't think there's anything magical about 2030. I know that's when the supply is supposed to be all out. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much as people think. It's that plus the demand. So the demand really needs to be there for. But you know, I do think a long-term mindset is good for a lot of these projects, for HBAR, for Algorand. Yeah, do we like short-term price action? Of course, it's nice when it goes up, and I feel bad for the people that got into crypto around 2021, 22, like 22, 23. If you got into it more recently, you didn't get to experience that euphoric bull market. We just haven't had it. You had a little taste of it last November, December, but definitely haven't had it the way we used to. I don't know if we're going to again. We'll see. If nothing happens by the end of the year, I think I'm pretty much in the camp that like the days of bull bear cycles, like these huge bear bull cycles, are just done. And then you got to start thinking long term.
Back on coffee. But like I said, it's more of like a living in the now type mindset that you really have to shift, because most people, at least in my thought process here, or at least for me, I can only speak for me. Most people that have issues with gambling, most people that have issues with addiction, whatever the addiction may be, a lot of it is like future oriented, right? I had this idea that I was missing out on having a good time if I wasn't drinking alcohol. Or people that gamble have this idea that they're going to, you know, make all this money and X, Y, and Z is going to happen. But that is very living in the future oriented. But if you start trying to live in the present and make changes that you can only affect in the present, yeah, normally it does suck. If you've made bad decisions in the past, you've gotten yourself addicted, or you're trying to change your mindset and the way that you live your life, it is painful to go through that process. I will say that, but it's almost like this kind of cleansing process that happens kind of naturally with that. And you do become much stronger of a person when you start going through stuff, and you actually do achieve goals. But you can only eat a pizza one bite at a time. You can only chip away at an iceberg, one chip at a time too. So at the end of the day, crypto's going to do what crypto's going to do. Life's going to do what life's going to do. People outside of yourself are going to do what they're going to do as well. But opportunity is at hand here, and you have the ability to change your life no matter what it is. You can literally do whatever you want to do in life. All your hopes, all your dreams, all your future aspirations and goals, you can get there, but you can only get there by doing it yourself and doing it every second, kind of in the now. And I'm going to stop rambling here, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have no idea if it was valuable or not. I didn't have a script. I had a couple of talking points, some of which I probably missed.
Well, I think that was a good video. A lot of the stuff he said is stuff that I've been saying all along, and I see Effect Wendio kind of proving his point, saying, warning, Michael Saylor rumor triggers Bitcoin panic. Yeah, it looks like it's not true, at least as far as Michael Saylor is saying. Greenblue says, my first Bitcoin buy was March 19th, 2020. Nice. Yeah, 2017, I started seeing, what convinced me it wasn't like I actually got into crypto. I found Bitcoin interesting way back in the early days of Twitter. Probably like 2011, 2012, I was like following people who were talking about this. And the problem is back then it was really hard to buy. But actually, like around 2013, 14, I was actually doing these like these Bitcoin faucets where you get like 0.01 Bitcoin. And I probably have like a bunch of that around somewhere. But I didn't really keep track of it. I didn't take it that seriously because it was like pennies at the time, fractions of pennies, really. Now we're talking like thousands of dollars probably sitting in a Bitcoin wallet somewhere that I don't have access to. It was on an old work computer. I probably had the password on the computer somewhere. Kind of funny how that works, isn't it? All right. Well, yeah, definitely give him, if you guys don't follow King Solomon on X, him and Genfinity, they do great work. He's really one of the good guys in the space. We were supposed to be doing some stuff together. I don't know whatever happened with that. I might reach out to him for an interview or something too. But Greenblue says I had an 8 Bitcoin offer for a product sale in 2013. Imagine what that would be worth now. I'm almost curious what Wendy is talking about, but yeah, I just think Well, like I said, you can take a quick look at the markets. I usually cover them because I think it's interesting to see what it's doing. I just think you have to be careful about over-indexing on it too much. Yeah, it's just kind of falling back. Not really doing anything too exciting. It's interesting to watch, but it is what it is. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. I hope you guys are doing well out there. Stay safe.